Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tian, aka TIANNE876. As you can tell by the title, I'm going to be talking about my BMT experience. If you're interested in hearing about what I went through in BMT 2020 COVID edition, stay tuned. In my previous video, I had mentioned a little bit of my experience, but I haven't went in full detail because I didn't want the video to be too long. I don't know if you guys can tell by these types of videos, sometimes they go up to an hour if you're being really extensive. I personally don't really remember much about my experience. This is my second time recording this type of video because I have missed so much information. Just wanted to be as thorough as possible. Also, I know that this video might be super long. I'm going to be including the timestamps in the description box. So I had to grab my book for reference, and this book is one of the notebooks that they give you in your backpack at BMT. In the backpack you get a whole bunch of stuff, and the notebook was one of them. So 0 week, there's a bunch of videos on YouTube about 0 night especially, but nothing really goes into 0 week. 0 week is basically the toughest time of BMT, I would say. It's shock week, and as the name tells, the only thought that was going through my mind during this week was, why did I do this? I would say if you are a fan of Beyond Scared Straight, it is a perfect example of how 0 week was continuously from 5 a.m. up until 9 p.m. And even after that, sometimes if your MTIs just loves their job so much that they don't leave, well, they be popping up after 9 p.m. So you can't even sleep sometimes, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, when I arrived in Lackland, there's a bunch of people in USO waiting to hop on the bus to head to Lackland Air Force Base. It was super nerve-wracking. There was a lot of thoughts going through my mind. I was excited, and I also was really scared because I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I was in USO, basically had to like separate, and because my hair was short, they thought I was a guy. When I arrived on base, it was really late because of COVID. They basically screened everybody, asked some questions pertaining to how they were feeling. After that, we got our backpacks, which I wish I had, for example. So the backpack is really like a big sized backpack, and it was filled with towels, a loofah, just basically everything that you need. That goes into my next topic to cover, which is do not overpack going to BMT. You really don't need all those things that are recommended on the DEP app. I'm going to link right here because your recruiter probably is going to tell you about the DEP app and to just follow the recommended packing list. I personally don't recommend packing all those things because you probably won't need them at all. I guarantee you that. After the first stop, which is collecting your bags, I remember the second stop, the second and very last stop, the bus driver was basically showing us like different areas. They were like, this is Alcatraz, this is Disneyland, this is the BX, and BX stands for base exchange. I remember in my last video, someone was saying that what if a person doesn't really understand the acronyms. The Air Force uses a lot of acronyms, you guys. So the BX stands for base exchange, which is basically the military's Walmart. They have everything there. She made a little U-turn, and I'm like, oh my God, please drop me off at Disneyland. Please drop me off at Disneyland. Please drop me off at Disneyland. And she passed Disneyland and dropped me off in Alcatraz. So I am an Alcatraz survivor. I was a part of the 322nd Squadron, which is the Eagles. Second to none, come get some pride, character, excellence. I got yelled at the minute I stepped off the bus to the minute I got on the drill pad. And I remember feeling really lightheaded because I was so nervous. I couldn't eat. And I ended up being really hungry. I was like, oh my God, I'm probably gonna pass out because this bag is so heavy. So I have too heavy stuff, and I was like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna pass out. Unfortunately, I was like one of the last people to get assigned a dorm. It was really torturous to say the least. I remember the couple minutes before heading into my dorm, I remember they gave me MRE, which was supposed to be dinner. So they gave me an MRE and I was struggling to open it. Basically had like 5 minutes to eat, and I wasted 4 minutes trying to open the bag. The first night, there were still girls coming in. Because of COVID, I heard usually it's like 60 girls in one dorm, but it was like 40 in mine. Or maybe less, maybe like 35, 37. There weren't any bunk beds because usually in the dorms there's like bunks. It was like all just single beds. So I remember the first official day of being in BMT. We got woken up super early this day. It was like 5 in the morning. Usually we get waken up at like 5:30. We all woke up at 5. Our MTI came in, she busted through the doors, she was yelling, everyone get up, get up, get up, get up, get up. She basically told us to get ready for the day. We were still in civilian clothes at this time, so we all had to wear like basic t-shirts and jeans and closed-toe shoes. This is where she was trying to like give us a little bit of drill stuff to do, which is like left haste, right haste. We picked up our PT gear, which was fun. I think it was like we got it in like duffel bags. I don't remember what happened. I think it was like we had to go pick up like a duffel bag somewhere. It was filled with like PT gear, and that was going to be our uniform. And after that, we went back upstairs into our dorm. We had to unload everything out of our civilian luggage, and she searched everything. She was basically looking for things that weren't authorized. We got the chance to take out a couple stuff out of our civilian luggage before it got locked up. We got a paper with our address on it, and we had to take a picture and then send it to our family before we gave our phones away. So the third day I remember as well, because this is the day I got my first 341 pulled, which is super sad because I was really shocked that it happened. I was the very first in the flight and it wasn't a good look on me. What had happened was I had previously had my Airman retainers in, and she saw them, and because they were visible I had to take them out. She basically was like, don't have any type of retainers in because you know they glisten and it's a distraction. We need to all be uniformed. Don't wear them. So I'm like, yes ma'am. In the night times I would put my nose retainer in for my stud. I forgot to take it out in the morning time because I think it was another early wake up this morning, and I was frazzled when she woke us up. I wasn't thinking. She got up in my face. She saw it. I didn't even know what to say. I was really embarrassed, to be honest, to be yelled at like that. But the way that I am, I know how to control my emotions. I was giving off nonchalant. When she was yelling at me, I wasn't really like acting any type of way. I wasn't crying, I wasn't moved or anything. So I was just standing there like, okay. She thought that I was being disrespectful, and that even made it worse. It was my first traumatic experience with my MTI. First week of BNT, from what I can remember, we started to get assigned jobs. There's a plethora of jobs that you can do in your flight, from being a stairwell cleaner to being a latrine queen. I remember we had to go to our little day room or whatever. My MTI was basically giving out jobs, but she was like asking specific questions like who really likes cleaning, who pays attention to detail and can like see when something's off. So for me, my dumb self, she asked who had like OCD in terms of cleanliness, and I thought that this was going to be for like laundry. I put my hand up and she was like, okay, Grandison, you're gonna be latrine queen. And I was like, pardon me, latrine queen? Okay. I was like, wow. I remember just trying to like get to know the other girls, because you start to like really build friendships pretty quickly because you're all vulnerable and all just going through the same thing. I latched on to the girl that was next to me in the first week, I would say, because I remember she shipped from the same MEPS as me. I didn't even notice that she was the girl that was next to me in MEPS. And we basically just tag teamed. We started learning how to do our beds and stuff a specific way. We basically just tag teamed and helped each other out. It was like a good little thing going on. She was like my bed making partner. I loved her. Second week, we started getting protein bars, which is pretty late if you ask me. And the protein bars were tasting like candy. They were busting. A lot of people say chocolate is their favorite. I feel like chocolate tasted like protein powder. It wasn't given what it's supposed to give. Strawberry is the best flavor. Also in this week, we got our peanut butter shot. I saw a couple videos on YouTube talking about the pain of peanut butter shot, and oh my god, it's so scary, right? No, for me personally, I was good. I didn't feel anything the next day. I didn't feel anything afterwards. It wasn't like painful. It was just like a little pinch. I wasn't like in pain. I could walk. I wasn't limping. It's really not as bad as it is made out to be. We were continuously learning drill movements. We were learning how to move as a flight. We also started to practice for graduation. Our MTIs were super excited about graduation. They were really motivated to start practicing, so we did that. We also did our very first PT test in this week. Your very first PT test, what they don't tell you is going to be a mock test, so it's not the real one. They're just trying to see where you are. Also, I started to notice in the second week that a lot of girls were leaving. Well, not a lot, but a few girls were leaving from my flight. There was a couple older ladies that, you know, they were missing home. They had kids. There were some girls that were just plain missing home. They were just not having a good time and they just wanted to leave. There were some girls that were actually going through like serious stuff, and all the yelling was kind of like triggering them. I remember this one girl, she left because all the screaming, especially from the male MTIs, was really triggering for her. So she left. Eventually, over time, during the weeks, the numbers were fluctuating. So continuously, I'm starting to like get closer to some of the girls in the flight. It was brought to my attention that I allegedly was making cliques. I was just more comfortable with certain girls and I just stuck with them the whole time. We just kind of were like looking out for each other. It was really weird to me that my MTI basically told me to talk to other people and just try to like not leave other people out, because it was given the impression that I was just being standoffish to all the other girls when really I wasn't. I just missed home. I was super annoyed with some of them, I'm not gonna lie. And I don't know, if you just vibe with somebody, you're gonna want to stick with them, you know what I mean? I also forgot to mention that another job that I had in BMT, apart from being latrine queen, was also being chow runner. I was assigned chow runner as punishment for my nose retainer. I got the hang of being a chow runner on the second day. I got fired around the second week because I was good at my job. They were like, okay, somebody else, because you're already like used to it. I also mentioned in my book that I would get yelled at a lot for smiling. The MTIs were really not understanding that. They were trying to break it out of me, and I really was trying to stop as well because it was not helping at all that I was smiling, and also the fact that I was wearing a mask and I was still getting in trouble for smiling. They were like, we can see your eyes moving, and I'm like, I'm just swallowing right now. And I was getting yelled at left, right, and center from all different types of MTIs for the same thing, which was my facial expressions. Hide your emotions, don't show emotions in BMT, because trust me, you will get in trouble for just smirking or, you know, doing hard blinks. Don't make it look like an eye roll, you know what I mean? Like, just be as neutral as you can. It will save you. The last thing that I wrote in the second week was that a girl popped positive for COVID. This day we were supposed to get out of ROM, which is restriction of movement. Because of COVID, implemented a new system, basically having all the flights quarantine before they were able to like go everywhere on base. We only were allowed to go to the chow hall to eat or the drill pad to practice drill. We weren't really allowed to go outside of our squadron. We got quarantined, like official quarantine, on the very last day of a ROM when we were supposed to get out and just be out and about. We were stuck in our dorms for 2 extra weeks. I really hated that. Think about it. When we were in ROM, we could only go on the drill pad and the chow hall. We couldn't even go to the chow hall. We couldn't go on the drill pad. We couldn't do anything. So we had to stay away from all the flights. If there was a flight outside, we had to wait until they left before we went out there. We had to have like the chow runners go to the chow hall and pick up our food, which were in like carts outside of the chow hall, and then like bring all the boxes up for us to eat. We did everything in our dorms. Because we were quarantined in our dorms, we couldn't do PT. I only had 1 run day my entire time I was in BMT. I just felt like the odds were really against me, but I made it. I made it, you guys. I made it, so you can too. The third week, because our entire flight was quarantined still, we really didn't do anything but stay in our dorms and like look at each other all day. The only thing that I remember that I wrote down was I got a random inspect of my wall locker from one of my MTIs, and he found my do-rag in my wall locker. It was really bad for me. The do-rag is an unauthorized item everywhere except for your security drawer. Just one morning I was frazzled again and I didn't have enough time to put my do-rag in my security drawer, because you know security drawers have locks on them. We wear the keys around our necks, didn't have enough time, so I just threw it in one of my drawers, and I got an inspect that day and he made such a big deal out of it to the point where I was like, oh my god, am I gonna get kicked out for do-rag? Like, what is happening? He wanted to give me a comment, and that was like terrifying for me. This whole time I was in BMT, I made a vow to myself that I wasn't going to cry. Every day there was somebody crying, and I was like, y'all need to be strong. Like, we're almost out. Just think about the end goal. I know it's sad, but we're almost out. I know you miss home. We're almost out. Like, get it together. And I was like, I'm not gonna be one of those people that are like crying. Like, I'm just not gonna cry. But when I heard that was getting a comment, oh my god, I was shaken. Like, it really rocked my core. I didn't really understand what a comment was, and I thought it was a big deal. I thought it was like, wait till you're halfway out of BMT, and I was like, I didn't come all this way to get kicked out for a do-rag. He basically told my other MTI about his findings, and she was really disappointed in me. After she told me to get out of her office, I don't know if she was plotting or something, but she came out with the wickedest punishment ever. And it wasn't just for me, it was for the entire flight. We all got punished for my wrongdoings, and I felt so bad for the other girls. So the punishment basically was, we had to pack our duffel bags up with our stuff from our wall lockers, and we had to run around the dorm room. Any bed that we stopped at, we had to unpack our stuff. When we were done unpacking, she's like, pack your stuff again, run around. And we did this for like, I would say we did this for like 10 times before she was like, go back to your original beds and unpack. And then she cussed us out, and she cussed me out. I was really, really shaken up. And then later in the night, she had called me back into her office, and she was like, are you okay? Like, how do you feel? Blah, blah, blah. She basically explained to me why she did that punishment, which I think it was a really, I don't know if it was, I wouldn't say it's a good punishment. It was very effective, but it was also very traumatizing for me. She told me that she knew that I didn't like being the center of attention, so what better way to make me learn my lesson than to make me the center of attention. And I was like, yep, that shit worked. That was my reason for crying in BMT. Like, I was traumatized. It was like my breaking point. I'm like, oh my god, like, they really broke me. MT was really surprised that I was crying because I never cried my entire time. Like, I was looking at girls crying like, are you dead ass right now? Like, it's really not that serious. So the fourth week, we finally got off quarantine. We were behind on getting our clothing issue, so we missed our initial OCP issue and our blues issue. So we finally got the chance to go all the way to the clothing issue and get our stuff, and it was pretty exciting. We also got a chance to go to the BX in the fourth week. I remember we learned how to like display our OCPs, how to put it together, where all the patches go. We got our name tapes finally. We had to wear sneakers with our OCPs for like a week, sneaker weekers, and then we wore our boots for the first time. It was just super fun. It felt really good wearing our OCPs. It was like rewarding, like, oh my god, this is the reason why I came here, and now I'm actually wearing the uniform. Like, this is awesome. During the fourth week, we started to get introduced to a lot of awards that we could potentially win, like Manners Excellence, Best Dorm, and stuff like that. So we were working really, really hard to make sure that our dorm won at least something. We also were doing a lot of graduation practice. Like, that was all my BMT experience was, practicing for graduation and doing a whole bunch of like tools come in, and they were like on your face. We were doing a whole bunch of push-ups and stuff. Also in the fourth week, we did our second PT test. It was our second PT test, but our first official one for BMT. And I remember doing really, really well. I ran for like 14 something. I did a lot of push-ups and I did a lot of sit-ups. And I think I got like an 87% on my PT test, and I was super proud of myself. I was like, hell yeah. Like, I didn't even knew that I had it in me, and I was doing it. So if anyone out there is feeling like they're not physically fit enough to be in BMT, I'm here as living proof that you got this. Like, you really do got this. So in fifth week, we were starting to get a lot more inspections. They're basically MTIs that would come in and just test us for certain things like our discipline and how clean we were as a flight. In the fifth week, we had like a bunch of stuff that they call PCs, which are progress checks. We did like dress and appearance PCs, which is basically how we dress and appear in our OCPs and blues. We did RLA, which is recruit living area, which is how well your bed looks, how well you align your stuff in your wall locker, because everything has to be like specific. You can have 1 inch space between each hangers. Make sure that it's like even. Make sure that your stuff are folded the right way, your clothes are rolled up the right way, your socks are rolled up the right way. They check for strings, all that stuff. Like, they check for dust, everything. Like, you had to be on top of your stuff every single day. bring your stuff to dry cleaning so they can't test all your OCPs because they're gonna find a string on one of them. So if you only have one pair of OCPs in there and like one blue shirt and one pants, there's not much they can test you on, so you are automatically gonna pass. So, yeah, I just remember the 5th week was really stressful because of all of those PCs that we had to do. Also in the 5th week we had our final PT test, and I thought it was kind of unfair because we literally had our second PT test the week before. I was like, oh my god, I'm terrified. Third PT test was super important because you had to pass this one in order to pass BMT. I think my grade was like 88 or something. It wasn't that significant, but it was still good. So in the 6th week of BMT, we were prepping for Beast. Beast week for me was like 3 days, maybe less than that. I'm gonna read off what I wrote for Beast because I really don't remember anything. So I wrote on day 3 of the 6th week, it was an early wake up. It was at 4 a.m. and the first day of Beast was really crazy. We got MREs for breakfast, and then when we were done, we had to run to the trash can. It was 6 or 7 flights running to the trash, and then back to the starting point for form up. I don't know if I explained this earlier, but a flight is basically a group of you guys. So 6 or 7 flights it's a lot of people because there's like 40 people in each flight. So just imagine 6 or 7 flights. It was just like a herd of people just running towards one direction. It was like a stampede. People are pushing, people are bouncing. Everyone's laughing. We got assigned our tents on the first day of Beast. That was kind of fun. We also did CADM on the first day of Beast. What I didn't expect was that we were going to be walking or running everywhere. On our first day, it was like 5 a.m. and we had to like walk from our tent all the way to CADM. Keep on saying abbreviations without explaining what they are. So CADM is, let me look it up real quick. So CADM stands for Combat Arms Training and Maintenance. So I also wrote that I got 14 shots at CADM. It's also a PC that you have to pass. Like you can't get below 12 shots, I think, because you will fail. You can fail CADM. I got 14 shots. I was super disappointed, but it is what it is. At my first PT station, I got the chance to do CADM again because I'm a Security Forces Augmentee. I miss getting marksman again by 1 shot. I will get it one day though. I promise you that. But it's just, I don't know. The M4 is super easy. The M9 though is harder. You don't do M9 in BMT, you only do M4, which is like the bigger rifle. Second day of Beast, I wrote that it was another early wake up. We had CBURN today. CBURN stands for Chemical, Biological, Radiological, and Nuclear Operations. We had to learn how to wear the gas mask and how to wear the suit. CBURN is also where you do the gas chamber, but luckily I didn't have to do the gas chamber because of COVID. That's the only benefit of COVID. I'm not getting away scratch free though because I eventually have to do that. So I also mentioned that in the night times, at least when you have to pee and stuff, you have to put your entire OCP uniform on. You have to arm up, you have to get your weapon, you have to run to the latrine, and you have to run back to your tent. It's a whole process. You have to run to the EC people, give them your 341. You have to run to the latrine, run back to the EC people, run back to your tent. It's a whole bunch of running. I remember the females' latrine was like 3 stalls to shower, 3 toilets, 2 sinks, 40 girls with 3 shower heads. So they made us use the male latrine as well. The guys' latrine was a lot better and a lot cleaner than the women's latrine. So on the last day of Beast, I wrote that we did 2 other PCs. One was called Fest and the other one was called TCCC. I could have just said that. Fest was basically how we react to intruders and stuff like that. It was like a little mini deployment type of thing where, you know, we have an intruder come in, we had to like say all the right things, do all the right things in order to detain the person. TCCC, we had to learn how to proactively work in order to save someone's life. The 6th week was pretty chill as well in terms of like, we didn't have a lot of stuff to do. And when we got back from Beast, it was like 0 night all over again. And the MTIs were all standing out there just waiting on us, and they were in civilian clothes, so I thought they were gonna be like super chill, but they weren't super chill at all. They were yelling at us. It was literally 0 night all over again. Also in the 6th week, I took my EOC, which is your end of course test. If you fail it, I think you get recycled into a flight that's in their 6th week, and then you have to take the EOC again with them. I remember being told that you're not allowed to speak on EOC like after you leave the building, the PRC building. The 7th week, we didn't do anything at all. I remember we were just like sleeping all the time. We were practicing graduation a lot. We were still doing like 1x3s. The grind never stops. The 7th week, our schedule was so small and short and just weightless. It was crazy. The 7th week was a drag for me. We were issued our CAP cards in the 7th week as well. And we did our dream sheets in the 2nd week. I remember didn't do an official dream sheet, but we did learn about the different bases and we had like an idea of where we would want to be based. One of the things that I definitely forgot to mention in my journal was all the drama that goes down in the dorms from a woman's point of view. When you're going into BMT, there is going to be drama. You are going to find yourself in drama. Like, there's no way around it. Always going to be people that you're going to butt heads with, but the main goal is to just stay focused on why you even went into BMT to begin with. There is going to be a lot of days when you feel like giving up, a lot of days when you're really unmotivated, really annoyed with everything. Just keep focused. I promise you the 7 weeks or 8 weeks, if it goes back to normal, will just fly by like that. Please be mindful that the MTIs are only doing their jobs. Like, they're not bullying you or targeting you for any specific reason. Like, they're literally doing their job. Really quick, I got this question on my last video. Someone asked me about my dorm life and stuff like that, and if I'm ever gonna make a video on that. There really isn't much that I've experienced so far living in Oklahoma. The dorms, I will link a video of one of my friends that is living in the same dorm as me. You guys can go check her video out. Thank you guys so much for sitting and watching my video. If you watch all of this video, even if you watch a little piece of it, I don't know if you made it to the end, but give me a thumbs up. Make sure that you comment, like, and share. I appreciate you so much for being here and watching this, and I'll see you next time. Bye.